January 2022, I decided to take a break from alcohol. More than 3 years later, I've never gone back to drinking. Today, I want to talk about the things that actually did change and the things that didn't. So before we get into it, super quick introduction from me. My name is Christine. I quit drinking over 3 years ago, and it wasn't because I had some spectacular rock bottom that I hit. It was more like 500 shit mornings that I grew really tired of and thought, maybe alcohol was responsible for that. So decided to take a break. If you're looking to change your relationship with alcohol, I'm here to help. I'm new to YouTube, so any interaction you can give me is really going to help me out. Please subscribe, like the video, anything you can do would be hugely appreciated. Okay, so let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about is confidence. When I was going out drinking, I used to feel invincible. I would talk to anyone about anything. It didn't matter if they wanted me to or not, which was part of the problem. If, like me, you've been drinking for a number of years and you can probably count on one hand the number of nights out you've had where you haven't been drinking, the idea of having to approach somebody, a stranger, to talk to on a night out, or get on the dance floor, or pick up a microphone for karaoke, these things can feel really overwhelming when we think about having to do them without Dutch courage. But actually, what we forget is that when we have too much to drink, we end up doing things that we regret or things that make us feel really stupid or ashamed the next day. And the beauty of building on your confidence when you're not drinking is that you haven't lost that ability to rationalize because your brain is not impaired. So you can make sensible decisions but still push yourself out of your comfort zone a bit. So the game I like to play is, would I do this if I was drunk? And I'm going to use an example for this, something really, really basic, like approaching a stranger and telling them that I love their dress. Something I would not hesitate to do when I was drunk. In fact, it wouldn't matter if they were in the middle of a conversation or in the middle of doing anything. I would barge up to them and say, oh my God, I love your dress so much. Where did you get it from? God. So now I would still do that, but in a much more tactile way. And I do this by asking myself, would I do this if I was drunk? The answer is yes, I would. If the answer is no, then steer clear. If you're not even going to do it when you're drunk, you shouldn't be doing it sober. And then we say, okay, is this dangerous? Well, if the person looks like, they're not going to turn around and punch you in the face for speaking to them, then it's probably not a dangerous situation. If it is a dangerous situation, again, avoid. You would probably do that if you were drunk. That doesn't mean it's a good thing to do. If it doesn't look dangerous, proceed. Then the next question becomes, am I scared to do this? And if the answer is no, then great, why are we even having this conversation? If the answer is yes, and this thing is going to push you outside of your comfort zone slightly, proceed. Now, this is a really basic way to just sense check yourself. If you are able to practice this and push yourself out of your comfort zone in these tiny ways every time you go out, your confidence will grow so quickly. Because if you approach somebody on a night out and you have a conversation with them, then you get that little dopamine hit and that little check of, I didn't need alcohol to do that. And it's the same thing when you get on the dance floor for the first time and you realize nobody's watching you, nobody's paying any attention to whether you're drunk or not, and you're able to kind of let your inhibitions go naturally and enjoy yourself with your friends. And then it's another little check. Oh, I didn't need alcohol to do that. And I had fun. And I didn't feel like shit the next day. And these little things compound. It's like a muscle, the more you use it, the more it's going to grow and the better you're going to get at being comfortable and confident in social situations. Another huge thing that changed for me was my relationships with friends, family, my partner as well. I am a much more reliable person now, and I show up better for people when they need me. I think I wouldn't have hesitated to be there in the past for friends when they needed me, but how much value I was actually delivering is a big question mark over that. Now I'm much better able to emotionally support people because I am emotionally stable. Then, my partner and I can go out for a nice meal and it's not going to end in an absolutely stupid blazing row that's over absolutely nothing that neither of us are going to remember the next day. That's really nice. And to everybody in my life, their events that they are hosting are no longer an excuse for me to just get absolutely wankered anymore. And I'm able to actually really celebrate that moment in their life with them and be happy for them genuinely without just seeing it as an ease up. The third thing I want to talk about today is consistency. Now, this was something I never had when I was drinking. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are capable of being consistent in their lives and drink at the same time. That is not me. I cannot tell you how many times in my life I tried to pick up a new fitness regime or a new diet or whatever it was I was trying to do. Sometimes something would stick for a while, but inevitably it would die eventually. And a big reason for this, I believe, is because I was never giving anything a chance to kind of compound, and I was never giving myself a chance to see results that would then further enforce that what I was doing was valuable in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, okay, I might eat really healthily for 2 weeks, but then go on a bender, eat loads of takeout, and have like a horrendous weekend. Is much easier a few days back on track to go, well, this isn't doing anything, it's not working, when you've completely railroaded yourself, than it is to accept that you railroaded yourself. So now my fitness is great. I was never able to maintain any fitness long term in the past. I started exercising very seriously the day I quit drinking, and I never stopped. I mean, there is a huge link between people giving up drinking and picking up exercise. You don't have to. If you're watching this eye rolling, like, that doesn't need to be the thing that you become consistent with, if consistency is even an issue for you. It could be a hobby. Another one for me is, I've been saying I'm going to write a novel for about 5 years now, and I have written so much more in the period of time that I have not been drinking than the period of time that I was drinking. And I was just talking about it and thinking about it and never actually putting pen to paper. Okay, so some things that didn't change. And I just really think it's important to be frank and honest when we're talking about these things, because there are a lot of people out there who are trying to sell the alcohol-free lifestyle to you as if it's a magic pill that's going to make everything perfect, and it's not. So number one, you might be able to tell just by looking at me, is my skin is the worst it has ever been. And it's great here. I do generally have better skin than I did when I was drinking, but I also have a hormone imbalance, and it doesn't matter whether I'm drinking or not. That is not going to go away just because I didn't pick up a couple of beers at the weekend. Another one that my least favorite thing that hasn't changed is other people's perceptions of you. I spent 10 plus years building this outrageous drunk character who got up to all sorts of nonsense when they were on nights out. And I was quite renowned amongst my friendship group for going and talking to strangers and then being like, come join me and my friends, usually to somebody who was out on their own, which I would never do if I was sober. Never. And I would go and get these people or person and say, these are my friends, come and sit with us. And my friends would be there. My friends, they're drinkers, but they were probably not drinking quite as much as I was. And they would be like, why has she done this again? Why does she always bring these weirdos over? I did it relentlessly to the point that I built up a reputation for that. And even though I haven't touched a drop of alcohol in 3 years, I still get shit for it, like as if I'm still that person who is going to go and invite strangers over or, go and talk to strangers relentlessly and not spend the time with my friends, which is really frustrating because my nights out used to be about that. I would go out with whoever was up for going out with, regardless of whether they were like friends, acquaintances, whatever. I would be going out so that I could get drunk and I could go and talk to other people and see where the night was going to take me. I was never really going out to have deep, meaningful conversations with my friends. And I say this all the time, that if the night led to a deep and meaningful conversation, great, but chances are by the time it did, I'd be so hammered that I wouldn't really remember that the next day or be able to kind of provide much value to that conversation. So I do want to caveat that one a little bit because, you might be somebody who has made some mistakes or just bad judgment calls when you've been drinking. If these are things that you categorically would not have done had you been sober, then quitting drinking, for me, it just makes sense, right? Because your actions speak louder than words. You can say, I'll never do that again, but if every time you get drunk, you do it, you're going to keep doing it again. And if not drinking is the only thing that puts you in enough control to not keep making those mistakes, then I think that's a really great thing to do. And it allows you to rid yourself of past shame and embarrassment of things that you may have done or said. That's important for the way that you feel about yourself. But it is important to acknowledge that it's going to take other people a bit of time to believe you, to believe that your character is changing, your character is growing, and that you're not going to do the things that you spent the last decade or so doing. There are a lot of people out there who don't see the differentiation between drunk and sober. They will just see you for you, and it won't matter whether you were inebriated when you did whatever it was that you did. So the last thing that I want to talk about that didn't change, or is taking a bit longer to change than I would like, is, old habits die hard. I was a big time people pleaser in my drinking days, and actually drinking too much and people pleasing really go hand in hand. You might not be shocked to discover. And these things are quite hard to let go of. So my people pleasing tendencies have got better. They have changed. You know, before you said jump, I would say how high. It didn't matter whether we were really, really close knit or not, and it wouldn't matter if that was at my own detriment. I don't do that anymore, so that has changed. But the reason I put this into the thing that hadn't changed bracket is because in situations where I would have been drinking, i.e., when I am socializing, that hasn't actually changed very much at all. Still have the tendency to over socialize given the opportunity. If anything, I have a chip on my shoulder about not drinking and having to prove myself to other people that I can still be the life and soul of the party. I can be the last man standing. I can stay out till 2 a.m. And these are maybe things that I had promised myself, as I would have done when I was drinking. I'll be in bed by midnight, you know, and it will get to 2, 3 a.m. and I'll still be out. And if I'm having a good time, then that's great. If I'm doing it and I'm not having a good time, that's not so great. And the winning thing about this is that it doesn't matter if I stayed out later than I intended to, I'm still not going to feel like shit the next day. I'm still going to be able to get up and go to the gym and do whatever it was that I planned because I'm not going to be railroaded by a hangover. Maybe I should have put this in a thing that has changed, but it feels like something that I'm still working on. It's still a work in progress. So I put it in the things that hadn't changed completely because I do still fall victim to that now and again. There are so many other things that I could have added to this list, but you know, this is actually my first ever video for YouTube. So I didn't want it to end up being crazy long. I just wanted to get across the message that it's not this glow up montage that Instagram will have you believe. It's actually a shift that is going to impact so many dimensions to your life, not just the way that you look, but more the way that you feel about yourself and the way that you show up for other people. It's going to change how you see alcohol overall. It's going to change how you feel about yourself, your self-esteem, give you real confidence and feel in tune with yourself in a way that you may not have done for a long time. So it is worth it, even if it's not sexy and dramatic. So let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with things that I have said have changed. And if you have already quit drinking yourself, if you have noticed any of the same ones that I did, or if there's any huge changes that you felt that I didn't mention, I'd love to hear it. And as always, if you're still watching this now, then please like this video or subscribe and help me out because I'm completely new to the platform and I would love to be able to get this message out to as many people as possible. Thank you.